Hi guys. So today I wanted to talk to you about Busysheets versus Powersheets. In today's virtual realm, a lot of us are falling back on packets, not only out of necessity if digital resources are limited, but also because it is an easy way to make sure that students are getting what they need and have them demonstrate mastery without having to navigate a lot of apps and websites and digital devices. However, there is a better way to do a worksheet to shift it to a power sheet. A power sheet is way more engaging. And so we're going to talk about today. This is actually based on Jennifer Gonzalez's website, Cult of Pedagogy. She posted a blog post about this. Cult of Pedagogy is an amazing educational blog. If you're not familiar with it, you really need to check it out. All of these websites are going to be posted in the comments, so please check them out. And I started thinking about this after I kind of read this blog post and I listened to the podcast that she does. And it really got me thinking that this is a skill that now more than ever, we really need to discuss as we're working through e-learning and virtual learning and digital tools, or the lack thereof with access. So what she talks about, and the reason why it's called Frickin' Packets, by the way, is because she starts it off with a video of a student who is really kind of lashing out at his teacher. He's very frustrated, and he's talking about this packet that, teaching is not packets, it's just busy work. And regardless of the way he went about it, he kind of was correct in that. Not all worksheets are created equal. So Jennifer has this amazing worksheet continuum here where she shows that busy sheets are on the lower end of Bloom's taxonomy. They are things that don't require a lot of thought. They are very passive activities, and they're activities that are focused around thinking that has already been done. A power sheet, on the other hand, is a direct learning support. It can lead to other tasks. It is thought-provoking. It requires some deep thinking, and it definitely moves students into being more active learners. So while we have word searches and word scrambles on the one end of the busy sheet, we've got things like graphic organizers, Cornell notes, note-taking templates, data collection tools, and planning sheets on the other end. So she really goes through in this blog post and she talks about, the problems with this and, the reasons why teachers use them and the reasons why we could make them better and how we can do that. So when you scroll down and you get to this part of what to do instead, she breaks it down and gives you links and samples. Now, the cool thing about this is there doesn't need to be technology or textbooks here. It doesn't have to be a big shift from what you may be doing and what your school may have mandated for your students during digital learning. We can still offer packets, but it's the intention behind it, and it's what the students are doing with those packets that we want to focus on. The other thing too is, we're using these things sometimes as skills practice, but we really need to think about how do we want the kids to practice the skills and what needs to be practiced to what extent. So she gives some ideas here about different ways that you can still use it for that purpose, but being very clear and thought-provoking in how you do that. Packets are also great for differentiation because you can literally make personalized learning through these sheets and the work that you're offering, these resources. But you want to make sure that you're really doing that and that you know where your students are so that you're able to use these packets to fill the gaps. She also, one other thing that I really liked about this is she talks about aligning the objectives with your elements of your worksheet or your packet. And I think that's something that as teachers, unless we make a conscious effort to do, it may not always be present. Finally, she kind of talks about how some kids like this option, and so it is a great option sometimes to use. We just want to make sure that it's really purposeful and that we're doing things like this that's going to be thought-provoking. So things like a gallery walk. You could have students do their work and then you can have them post it. This is something that can be adapted to a virtual realm where we can have students post their work and others, through a Padlet, let's say, and then others go to that Padlet and comment on other people, give them advice, reflect on what's posted. You can use things like Flipgrid where students will record a summary, let's say, of something or a personal learning thought, and then other students can come in and listen to those and respond to those. So the ideas that she has here can absolutely be adapted. Things like hyperdocs, which is basically an interactive packet. I can post links to videos. I can post exploratory learning sites and have students go through that hyperdoc, that packet, in that manner. I actually just have in one of my other sessions a process of planning remote learning that includes hyperdocs. So you can check that out in the playlist. Another site that you might want to check out is Teach for the Heart. There's an article on there that is 7 easy ways to turn boring worksheets into engaging activities. Again, we have like a little podcast here, and we have this really cool chart. And what she does is she talks about this idea of, how we can move a student from passive learning to more actively engaged without a lot of teacher prep time. So things like reciprocal learning, where two students coach each other to figure out the answers if one is stuck. Again, you can do this virtually with making pairs, with breakout rooms in Zoom, with Google Chat, if you're using the Google platform for your meetings and your class sessions. You can do some reciprocal learning with a worksheet that you've planned. Things like a contest. So any worksheet can become a contest, and you want to make sure that the content of the worksheet is well developed, but you allowed students to answer, you assign different problems on the worksheet, and everyone kind of has to work together to complete it. Scavenger hunts, there's lots of different things, and she breaks each one down. She also has a video here from Cult of Pedagogy on reciprocal learning. Another website that you can check out is from NEA, and this one really breaks down the process of where to begin with this. So it talks about teacher prep, it talks about the process that teachers can use to actually teach and engage the students, and then it talks about the different kinds of activities that you can use to pose questions, to make these Busysheets move into Powersheets, like designing a concept map, creating an outline, creating a different end to a story, or conducting an experiment and then creating the lab report. There's lots of different breakdown here too, and it breaks it down by the different activities and the different roles that would go with it. And then finally, we have Wonder Teacher has 7 ideas for replacing worksheets with Wonder. And she breaks down, much like the other ones, some ways that teachers can reflect to see if their worksheets could be more filled with wonder. And so she talks about, really as the teacher, reflecting on, am I trying to use this worksheet as the heart of the lesson? And if so, do they really need that right now? Or am I just using the worksheet as a tool for capturing thinking, and I can supplement or offer additional resources to make up the heart of the lesson? And she has some really thought-provoking questions in there. Are we asking children to recall and list factual information, or are we challenging them to problem solve, demonstrate mastery, and really think about connections to the real world? So those are some ideas that you can use for switching your Busysheets to your Powersheets. Another great idea that all of those websites talk about is this kind of teacher inventory that you can do, where you really look at what you're offering students and the documents and the packets and the worksheets that you're doing, and really take an inventory for yourself. Cult of Pedagogy also has a really cool blog post that's called, it's all about something called dog fooding, which is used in the software world. It's basically a process where you go through and you use your own materials, products, devices to troubleshoot, to experience what it's like for the user, and to see if you can make it any better. And I actually have that post and some information on dog fooding in the S'more newsletter from this week, starting with April 27th, 2020. Thanks everyone for your time. I hope that everyone's doing well, and I very much miss you and hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.